Well, everyone, welcome back to the Fables Folly reaction commentary channel, whatever you want to call it. It's both, either. Sometimes it's neither. It's time for our monthly Shoe on Head reaction video. What is she gonna do? What is she gonna say to make all the weirdo lefty mob freak out this time? What Trump really destroyed, the dark truth behind USAID. Man, everybody stop talking about USAID. She's gonna tell us what's really been going on. She has all the answers. Nobody has more answers than her.
Donald Trump, along with Elon Musk, have created a new government agency called Doge. And what I originally thought was just an older sibling giving a younger sibling an unplugged video game controller actually turned into a real thing. And their first order of business was dismantling USAID, an innocent government program that helped poor people all around the world. Or was it?
Only if they were gay, or trans, or aspiring to be.
Hello and welcome back to the Shoe on Head channel. I am Shoe on Head and I am not real. I am a figment of your imagination. You have been in a coma since 2012.
I knew it! Everything stopped in 2012. I've been saying this. That was the last year where everything made sense. I think the world ended. I think it was actually the end of the world. You ever seen that movie 2012? I think that's what actually happened and we all forgot. Because we're dead.
Wake up. Wake up. Today
I can't because I'm dead.
we will be talking about the dark, seedy underbelly of USAID. This is a topic I've been interested in for a very long time now. And now that recently USAID has been in the news, I figured it is a perfect time to finally talk about it. All the mainstream liberal coverage I've seen of this has basically been
Lies and manipulations. That's what I've been seeing. On the right, everyone's just retarded. And on the left, everybody's retarded and lies. On the right, they lie too. But it's nothing but lies out of the leftist media. Not saying that Democrats are all liars. I'm saying that Democrats on TV are all liars.
late night talk show hosts crying fake tears about it being dismantled, and all the mainstream Republican coverage has just been about all the woke shit USAID was apparently funding. But I promise you, it is more than that. A lot more. If you're not a very political person and you only come here to consume the Reddit gender war slop, you should still stick around for this because this gets juicy. And remember, even if you're not interested in politics, politics is interested in you.
Politics really want you to march in lockstep. They need you to listen. If you don't listen, then everything falls apart. That's how wars get started, you know? That's what they want you to think. But really, it's them wanting the wars to start because it's profitable. They have something to talk about, and they're all funding it. Just look at all the donations to the war in Ukraine and Palestine and all that. They're not just funding poor people who had nothing to do with the conflict. They are actually funding the actual wars to perpetuate them, to keep them going.
And trust me, I understand why some people aren't interested in politics. It's confusing, it's stressful, it's a lot to keep up with. I feel like 500 things happen every single day.
And it's all by design. They do it on purpose. They don't want people to be able to pay attention to everything that's going on. They only want you to see what they're talking about in the news media.
But thankfully, I have a tool to help with that.
Oh great, ground news, awesome.
That's right, ladies and gentlemen, this video is sponsored by USAID. Just kidding, this video is sponsored by Ground News. Let's quickly give them a shout out and give us by only courses can while what? I've been best this again because more right. Get it? Like the Reddit meme from 2012? Epic bait. So, right. So, thank you to Ground News for sponsoring this video, and thank you, the viewer, for not skipping the ad.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Now let's get back to this USAID deep dive, shall we? So, Donald Trump and Elon Musk created the Department of Government Efficiency, aka Doge. Get it? Like the Reddit meme from 2012?
Also the cryptocurrency. I think that's the most important part, is the money.
Epic bacon, my fellow memers. Honestly, who am I to talk about dead memes? My username is Shoe on Head. So, Doge's supposed goal seems to be cutting useless spending the government is making us pay taxes on. Now, I have very mixed feelings about taxes. From each according to his ability, to each according to his needs. Taxation is theft! The tree of liberty will be refreshed with the blood of tyrants!
True. 100% I agree with that. Only on April 15th. No, I agree with that all year round. Taxes are theft.
My opinion has always been, if we are going to pay taxes in this country, could they at least go to things that actually help people, like—
No. No, they can't. You're giving people money for them to do whatever they want with, not whatever we want.
Medicare, Medicaid, Social Security, child tax credits, firefighters fixing our bridges and roads, castrating pedophiles, government-funded girlfriends, things like that.
The thing is, those do get funded with our taxes. But there's rampant fraud, rampant theft, rampant lies, and manipulation. They use Social Security and pretend that they're 3-year-olds, 5-year-olds. Hell, there are even people that are over 300 that are collecting Social Security. It's all a scam. It's all fraud. It's all ways just to steal our tax money.
And yes, we should be auditing the government. I think that's a good thing. Frankly, I don't care who does it as long as they do it well. Good things are good, bad things are bad. I'm anti-bad things, pro-good things. Those are my politics.
True, same.
And hating libertarians.
Also same.
Just kidding, I love libertarians. I get along great with them. As long as we don't talk about child labor. Anyway, Doge got straight to work, firing government workers
The children yearn for the mines. That's why they love Minecraft so much.
and basically hiring my Twitter mutuals. What was once a theater kid-occupied government is now a right-wing schizo poster-occupied government. No, I am not joking.
So this is a 19-year-old high school graduate who has used the unfortunate nickname Big Balls online, so that would be one way that we could refer to him. He is now working at...
They are not self-aware at all. The reason his name is Big Balls is so you have to say it on TV. And then you said it on TV, and like, oh, this is the unfortunate name, Big Balls. Unfortunate for you, fortunate for him. Because you did exactly what he was wanting you to do.
At Musk's behest inside Doge.
If you had told me 10 years ago that Donald Trump and Elon Musk would hire some Zoomer named Big Balls to help audit the government, I'd believe it.
Yeah, I was about to say that. Like, it sounds 100% like something they would do. It's so fucking ridiculous, man. We live in clown world.
Like, yeah, that checks out. They have no relevant experience. Most of them aren't old enough to rent a car. They're not even old enough to rent a car. They're in their 20s. We sent 18-year-olds to go die in the wars you cheerlead on, you evil hag.
She probably thinks that you can't rent a car until after you're 25. Because she doesn't know how probably anything works for regular people. She probably doesn't even drive. She probably has somebody that drives her everywhere.
Why are they so focused on the ages of these people when our government is basically a retirement home? But honestly, I don't blame Hillary Clinton. If I were her, I also wouldn't want 22-year-olds in the government.
Shots fired. Hey, didn't Bill Maher meet with Trump in the blowjob room?
Months before dismantling the Department of Education, or apparently Sesame Street, Doge's first order of business...
That's actually insane to me. That they were funding Sesame Street, what was it, for Iran? You know 100% that those funds were going to something else. They were not going toward funding Sesame Street. Yeah, they might have funded it a little bit just to say that they have something actually going. But that amount of money for Sesame Street, that I could literally make myself with no money as long as I have the puppets, that is insane to me.
Was dismantling USAID.
Without providing any proof, Elon said USAID is a criminal organization. Oh yeah, they're an international crime syndicate hell-bent on helping people.
Pretty f***ed up, huh?
Yeah, if you read their advertisements, yeah, they're helping people. But if you look into what they're actually doing, and that's the whole point of Doge, then they're doing the opposite of helping us Americans and funding their weird ideology.
Taking money away from an aid program that helps poor people all around the world. Except USAID was not exactly that. In fact, it doesn't even f***ing stand for aid. It stands for United States Agency for International Development.
They always do stuff like this. They always change the wording, make the wording seem like something it's not. What are we gonna call this bill? We're gonna call this bill the bill of puppies and kittens. And it's gonna be about how we're gonna trans your kids. I don't think that's what that bill actually was. If that was even a bill. That might have just been a joke. I don't know. I'm just joking. Or am I?
It has f*** all to do with aid. But honestly, I don't blame you for thinking it does. After all, they do make the word aid a different color in the logo. Those sneaky bastards. Although it said USAID provides 42% of global aid, the truth is most of those funds are just spent paying US contractors and secretly conducting regime change all around the world. In fact, 80% of all USAID funding goes to just 75 organizations, while only 6% of that goes to aid. And by auditing USAID, Doge exposed the true, real puppet masters behind the secret cabal of
Regular people aren't going to do the research on this, though, and they're not going to listen to the people who are actually doing the research because the media has told them that they're evil. They're preventing aid from going to starving children in Africa. Remember those commercials from the 80s and 90s? Those are who's collecting the money. That's like how they want people to think. Probably not that exactly, but something like that. In the arms of the angels.
evil masterminds funding the woke ideology spreading all around the globe. You. Yes, it was you, American taxpayer. Turns out the deep state was the friends we made along the way. And yes, it's true, we are spending billions of dollars in our tax money to fund things like teaching Sri Lankan journalists how to avoid binary gendered language, combating disinformation in Kazakhstan, promoting inclusion in Vietnam.
All of this so far sounds like fraud, scam, fraud.
Millions to an Armenian LGBT group. Millions to rebuild the Cuban media ecosystem. Millions for LGBT causes in the Western Balkans. Millions for LGBT activism in Uganda. Millions for atheism in Nepal. Millions for male circumcision around the world. And $2 million for sex changes in Guatemala.
How many sex changes are actually going in Guatemala that it requires that much money? Like 1, 2 people? That's ridiculous.
And many other things that were so ridiculous I had to double check to make sure I wasn't being trolled. Taxpayer-funded sex changes in Guatemala? We don't even do that here.
True. I didn't even think about that. We are not using tax money to pay for sex changes in America. That's a thing with this. We keep using our tax money for things that we need, but for other people in other countries. Not saying we need sex changes. We do not need that. It's just crazy to me that, like, people who want sex changes probably wouldn't mind taxpayers to fund it. But no, we're gonna fund Guatemala. And that's probably not even what the money went toward.
Now, you might be saying, shoo, this seems like some stupid anti-woke shit. And yeah, kind of. You got me. But I ask you, young naive liberal, why the f*** was John Bolton once the head of USAID? John Bolton, for those of you who are unaware, is an infamous neocon hack. He's literally criticized Trump for not being enough of a warmonger. Neocon hacks, for those same few of you who are unaware, are the people in our government responsible for meddling with other countries all around the world and getting us into wars for basically funsies.
You know how you can spot somebody who is just inherently evil in the government? Or really at all. If they want war to be funded, if they are pushing for war and don't think that you're enough of a warmonger, those people are evil. If they don't want wars to end, and they just want to keep starting wars and perpetuate the wars, those people are fucking evil.
The people who suck the teat of Raytheon, Boeing, etc. The military-industrial complex's favorite Discord kittens. These guys come in shades of red and blue. So why was John Bolton, a red guy, in charge of the same program, USAID, that is sending American taxpayer money to foreign countries to have things like trans pride parades?
Fraud, power, more money, manipulation, power, money, more fraud.
The truth is, the USAID thing goes a lot deeper than what a lot of Republican commentators are saying. It wasn't just a bunch of libtards in government wasting our money on stupid woke things.
Yeah, it was all of them. All of the retards.
No, there's way more than that. You see, it's current year and we can't just do old-fashioned imperialism anymore. The people don't like that. It's a new era, so we have to dress it up in glitter. And rainbows. To put it bluntly, USAID is nothing but another form of taxpayer-funded regime change, wearing an innocent mask of aid. Shut up, Shu! You dumb bimbo populist! You reactionary shitlord! You cry, tears running down your fat, retarded face. The United States is just giving foreign countries billions of dollars out of the kindness of their hearts! Oh yeah? I have a lovely bridge on sale down the road. Would you like to buy it?
You know, I'm kind of actually tired of hearing everybody say, I have a bridge to sell you. Everybody says that. I hear it from like 5 different people that I watch all the time. Come up with something else.
Listen, despite all its faults, I love America, and I love the American people. But if you believe the corrupt, greedy bureaucrats running the deep state of this country do anything out of the kindness of their hearts, you are a sweet, innocent angel, and you need to be protected at all costs. I especially side-eye any leftist who has the nerve to run defense for USAID, especially those who call themselves socialists or commies, considering the fact that USAID was basically originally created to destroy communist countries all around the world.
They lost. USAID lost to the commies, and the commies took over. What happened? I think as soon as we stopped talking about the commies, that was when they took over. We need to start talking about commies again, like they're the enemy, because they're trying to destroy everything that we know and love, and ourselves.
Established in 1961 by President John F. Kennedy under the noble guise of aiding developing nations, USAID was, in many respects, an instrument during the Cold War to counter Soviet influence and keep the Third World from crafting its own socioeconomic model. A year after President John Kennedy created USAID in 1961, he told its directors that, as we do not want to send American troops to a great many areas where freedom may be under attack, we send you. It wasn't long before the CIA spotted an opportunity to extend its reach.
Of course, every time, always, the CIA extended its reach and then killed them. They got into USAID and then killed them. It's not raising any red flags to anybody? No, because they don't know about this, because nobody's talking about it. Except for random people online who actually keep up with it. And then they're just called liars by the leftist media. And the right-wing media just thinks that you're not qualified to be talking about it.
In 1962, USAID launched its Office of Public Safety to send agents around the world under the guise of training police officers. But as it turned out, the trainers were busy teaching enhanced interrogation techniques, a euphemism for torture. The scandal broke out in 1966, and although the office was finally shut down in 1974, the dark practices persisted within military and intelligence circles.
Because they're all in a cult. That's how it goes. Whenever you get a group of people doing a thing for a cause, and then the cause is still going, but the group gets shut down, they just move into other areas and take those over. Happens every single time.
By 1980, USAID Administrator John Gilligan was candid enough to describe the agency as nothing more than a graduate school for the CIA. At one time, many aid field offices were infiltrated from top to bottom with CIA people.
CIA just is a disease, and we need to get rid of it. We need to cure this disease. We need to destroy it. We do not need CIA. If they're going to be doing things like this all the time against the American people and against the best interest of the American people, it needs to be gone. Same with the FBI, same with the DEA, same with everything. DOJ, all of them. ATF. I can name all the 3-letter agencies, and not all of them have 3 letters. Just look at USAID. That's like 5 letters. Anything that's just an anagram. Is it anagram? What's an anagram? Not anagrams, acronyms. Acronyms is what I meant. Any acronym is just gonna go. We need to shut them down. IRS.
He said. It was pretty well known in the agency who they were and what they were up to. The idea was to plant operatives in every kind of activity we had overseas, government, volunteer, religious, every kind. USAID was quickly nicknamed the CIA's little sister. Oh, and here is John Bolton holding a trophy given to him by USAID in the shape of a hand grenade. Yeah, nothing to see here, folks. So let's talk about Zune Zaneo, shall we? Sit down. I love this story. Taken directly from Wikipedia, Zune Zaneo was an online social networking and microblogging service created by the United States Agency for International Development, aka USAID, and marketed to Cuban users. It was covertly developed as a long-term strategy to encourage Cuban youths to revolt against the nation's government.
I think that's what we're doing in America. I think that's what's happening. That sounds very familiar.
The developers aim to use non-controversial content, such as sports and music, to build up subscribers and then to slowly introduce political messages through social bots to encourage dissent in an astroturfing initiative.
Holy shit! That's what they're doing here. They started with Cuba and then implemented that on the United States and its people.
So basically, USAID created a fake-ass social media platform in Cuba with our tax dollars, flooded it with bot content about like sports and music and whatever, just to make it seem normal, then slowly started to manipulate the users and create political division on the app between Cuban citizens in order to create political chaos in this country and a potential uprising.
Holy shit. 100% that's what's happening. I don't even know. Maybe she'll get to it in a second. I don't even know if she realized what she just said. She just described the United States.
So yeah, how dare we take money away from those starving undercover agents? To make things even more sus, the money we spent on Zunzaneo was publicly documented as an unnamed project in Pakistan. Yes, this fake-ass social media psyop they created in Cuba was documented by our government as being a project in Pakistan. Now, think of all the other weird—
So they just lied. They just lied again. This is why we have things like Doge now. Because we don't know what's real and what's not, and what's truth and what's a lie. Well, guess what? If some of it's a lie, then all of it's a lie.
that USAID was supposedly funding. Those sex changes in Guatemala. Were they really sex changes in Guatemala? Or were they some covert psyop being done somewhere else in the world?
100% that's what's happening. And that's why they're freaking out so hard. Because that's what they do. Everything that you see on paper where it says that an agency is doing something good, I guarantee you it's a covert operation doing something that's actually really bad that they don't want anybody to know about. That's why they have to cover it up.
I guess we'll never know now. Using social media to divide the masses and create political division. You don't think—
I do think. I do think. I know exactly what you're getting at. And yes, we did implement that thing from Cuba or Pakistan or wherever the fuck on the American people.
No. They wouldn't do that. I mean, it's—
They would. 100% they would. And they probably are. And you know what? I guarantee they are.
kind of weird they asked the former founder of Twitter to help with this project, but no. They would only do social media psyops in other countries, right?
Yeah, they wouldn't do it here. No way. They aren't trying to nation build our own nation so that they can have all the power. They don't even have to have the power. They just have to have the behind the scenes power. They want to be the men in suits pulling the levers. And who knows, they probably already are in charge of everything. And Trump wasn't supposed to take office.
Right? In March 2024, a document was exposed that revealed USAID was running covert psyops all around the internet in order to combat populist misinformation about the government.
I love how the government tries to combat misinformation, like they didn't just put out constant misinformation during COVID.
On Twitch, Twitter, Reddit, Facebook, and 4chan. Although its internal justification—
Of course, 4chan. But I already knew that. I get on 4chan every once in a while. Mostly for torrents. And there's just so much woke stuff on there now. Well, not now, because it's shut down. But when it was alive, there was so much woke content on there, and it just kept getting worse and worse and worse and more and more and more. And so much hate and dissent and division on there that didn't used to be there, and it's been getting worse and worse over time. I think that the government 100% did get into 4chan, and it looks like confirmed.
was halting the flow of mis- and disinformation, it seemed particularly concerned with malinformation, a concept it defines as speech that is factually correct but misleading, i.e., bothersome truths the US government would prefer the public does not know. USAID suggests directing the public toward mainstream corporate sources of information and psychologically inoculating them against inconvenient facts that challenge US power by pre-bunking information before people see it.
Pre-bunking. I've never heard that word used before. How crazy is it that the thing that we've been saying is happening all along is the thing that's been fucking happening?
Pre-bunking includes discrediting the brand, the credibility, and reputation of those making false allegations. In other words, a state-directed attack against alternative media and critics of the US government. So basically, USAID was funding a bunch of dorks to go all around social media and be like, source?
Yes. That's how it seems like every time you post something against these people, a hate train just comes your way. I don't get hardly any engagement on X, but whenever I say something that the mainstream media wouldn't like, I always get these dick writers that always seem like they're fake. They always seem like they're bots. Sometimes they're not. Sometimes it's questionable. And they always know more, and they always insult. But everything's turning out like we were all fucking right and we're all being lied to and manipulated. And I think it started getting really bad in 2016. And then it just snowballed up until COVID happened. And I think they really tried to take control. But all the Black Lives Matter protests really messed that up when the lies were obvious. Super spreader events. Don't go to spring break and party and have fun. 6 feet apart. Wear a mask. Don't be in big crowds of people. You don't want grandma to die. But if you're protesting, then you won't get sick.
Every time someone criticizes the government. This is somehow more pathetic than when I used to use an alt account to defend myself on BreadTube subreddits. That is basically what our government was doing. Also, I like how this implies the people you called a Fed online might have actually been a Fed. There is a chance.
That's crazy. Makes total sense though. Explains why I absolutely hated them right off the bat. They're Feds.
That you may have fought with a federal agent, a USAID federal agent on Twitter or 4chan.
Or one of their bots.
This also implies that, like, streamers and social media influencers may have been funded by USAID.
Hassan Piker, anybody? I wonder. Probably some of those donations that he took on Twitch. I bet a lot of the bigger ones, probably from Feds.
But who? Who among us? Who would be willing to unquestionably, enthusiastically suck establishment cock that hard?
For all the bad stuff America...
Of course. Destiny. Unless it's Destiny talking about it. But I would not doubt that Destiny took money from Feds in order to push their lies and manipulations into scent, because Destiny is an actual garbage person who nobody should listen to. I don't even know how this guy is still famous. I remember the days where somebody at the level of a rock star, streamers now are the rock stars of yesterday, when we used to have rock stars always in the news and everybody always listening to rock stars and pop stars. No, we've moved on to streamers. And I remember when they'd get canceled for saying crazy, outlandish lies and manipulative shit. Not anymore. Now everybody loves them.
Does around the world. USAID was just an organization that did a lot of nice things. Like, it put a lot of money into efforts to help people in a variety of ways, like both materially and culturally. It's just like a nice way for the United States to have a positive presence around the world.
That's how you know that he was just reading off of a script, because he's saying the exact same thing that every other leftist was saying. That's usually how you can catch the lies. If everybody on the same side is just saying the exact same thing as the media is saying it, as the media is talking about it, and people just jump on. I try not to do that. I don't like to jump on the trending news topics. I will if it's like video games related or anime or movies and shows. That's different. Entertainment's different. Because that's not real stuff that's going on. That's just literally everything on TV.
For the record, I do not actually believe Destiny is being funded by USAID.
I do.
I just thought that transition was funny.
I think he's being indirectly aided. I think he's taking money through donations. I bet people are donating to him. And he either doesn't know or doesn't care.
I fucking love that quote, though. USAID was just a nice organization that did a lot of nice things, like culturally help people around the world. Culturally help people? Why are we in the business of cultural imperialism?
I love how all of these leftist streamers and media dick writers were all like everywhere, super popular, had numbers that were going crazy. And then Trump got elected, and then now I don't hear about any of them, except for Hassan Piker.
Why do we have to culturally enrich Latin America or the f***ing Balkans? So not only are we the world police, but we are now the world HR department? No thank you. Why are we spending billions of dollars doing f***ass shit in other countries while ours crumbles? I don't care about teaching gender studies.
Because these people aren't worried about the United States. Because even if the US falls, they're still like global people. They don't actually believe in America. They believe in Earth. They believe in the planet because that's what they want power over. If you have power over the planet, you have power over everything because there's nothing but this planet.
To Ugandans. The pothole in front of my house hasn't been filled in 3 years. These are my taxes, and I believe my taxes should go to help people in my country. I don't think that's controversial to say, and I know many conservatives agree with me.
What about the starving children in Africa? What about the gays in Ukraine? We can't just leave them unfunded. We can't leave Guatemala without their sex changes.
Always hear them say, we can't be spending money in Ukraine. We have to take care of our own. And then they just don't take care of their own because that's socialism or communism or something. Listen, do you actually want to take care of your own? Do you actually want your taxes to go towards helping the poor and sick and families in this country?
I do, but I know that's never gonna happen. So until that actually starts to happen, fuck them all. Fuck taxes. Fuck the government.
Are you actually America first, or are you corpos and foreign countries first? I'm more than happy to work with you on good things to fix this country, but I don't think the establishment GOP is.
You don't want able-bodied workers on a program that is intended, for example, for single mothers with 2 small children who's just trying to make it. That's what Medicaid is for, not for 29-year-old males sitting on their couches playing video games. We're going to find those guys and we're going to send them back to work.
First of all, Medicaid is for anyone who needs it.
I disagree with finding those guys and sending them back to work. How about we just let them be poor and let them have nothing instead of like forcing them to work? Because I don't think anybody should actually be working jobs. I think everybody should be working for themselves.
Period. And second of all, 29-year-old guys? You mean your fucking voter base? You mean the very demographic that is shifting the entire country in your direction? Those guys? Yeah, we're just wasting so much money helping young men. Those greedy gamers just gobbling up all the tax money. Not massive tax cuts to corporations.
Oh no! Americans are using up the tax money. I don't think that we should be having people doing stuff like that, but I would rather have that being funded. Actual Americans playing video games, sure, than a fucking Sesame Street in the Middle East.
The rich, not all the money to the bloated military-industrial complex, no. Gamers. Young men who can't find a job, can't afford a house, can't afford college. Young men who can't build a family because of the society you created.
True. Society is the reason I don't have a job, because every job in the area that I live, both the areas that I lived, were minimum wage underneath the housing market. Like, if I wanted to go get an apartment while I was working at Dollar General, I needed a roommate for an apartment. Now I already live in like a low income area where everything is cheaper than usual around the United States. And still can't afford it without a roommate. Insane.
Those guys, they need to pull themselves up by their bootstraps and pay for their own Medicare. This care isn't for them, it's for women. What? Great to know both sides of the establishment fucking hate young men. Anyway, sorry, I popped off. Let's get back on topic.
Well, we got something in common, because they hate young men like me, and I hate them.
Now, USAID did do some good things, I won't deny that. But even some of the good things USAID did were nothing but a bunch of fronts. Using Cuba as an example again, because these are some of the only ones that have been exposed so far, there was a USAID program called the Travelers Project that was said to be an HIV prevention workshop. But yet again, it was nothing but another covert regime change psyop. This was exposed in 2014 by the Associated Press. Young Venezuelans and Peruvians were deployed by USAID to Cuba's college campuses for $5.41 an hour. Really, USAID? Billions of dollars force feminizing mice, and you can't.
We gotta help people. They need money. So let's give them slavery. Let's make them slaves. Pay them less than they're worth. Pay them just enough to keep them working because they need that. So we can maximize our own profits. There's more money that I can line my pockets with.
Can't even pay your spies a living wage? Sad. Anyway, they were used to recruit college students into political organizations with the goal of turning them against their government.
Oh shit. Everything that they tried in Cuba is what they did here. Because that sounds exactly like what they did in the United States.
The goal of, once again, creating political division. In the exposed memos about this, USAID called their HIV workshop the, quote, perfect excuse. Right. But we're totally funding DEI in Vietnam for pure humanitarian reasons, I'm sure. This was done so sloppily that even our boy John Bolton came out and disavowed it, but not without saying he thought it was a good idea in principle.
If in a few years we all get adamant about we have to stop all of the child slavery and everything around the world, then we'll start seeing funding for things like this. And then I guarantee we go and actually check it out, and we're funding the child slavery. This is the anti-child slavery bill, where we take children out of slavery and pay them $1 an hour to work so they can get out of slavery.
Yes, it's a great idea to create taxpayer-funded secret psyops all over the world in order to f with other countries' politics. Just don't recruit teenagers to do it next time, okay? What? I honestly just think it's kind of funny we were funding anti-socialist agendas all around the world and disguising it as social progressivism. Don't think too hard about that one.
That's what I was just saying. Like, what they're saying they're doing the exact opposite. If they were fighting against child slavery, they're perpetuating it. I said perpetuate a lot in this video.
Now, Cuba wasn't the only place USAID was culturally helping. On January 12, 2010, a 7.0 magnitude earthquake struck Haiti, killing 220,000 people, injuring another 300,000, and leaving 1.5 million more homeless. In the wake of the catastrophe, the United States provided—
That sounds like a perfect storm for the United States to get in there and start manipulating everything.
$1.6 billion in reconstruction funding to Haiti, $651 million of which went to USAID. Rather than employing—
How'd that reconstruction go? Oh, they're worse than they've ever been? Oh, that's crazy. Wouldn't have expected that.
Haitian construction companies, USAID contracted out the rebuilding projects to international firms. For instance, Minnesota-based construction firm Thor was awarded $18 million in contracts, and Mexico-based firm Cemex received over $7 million. But by far the largest recipient of USAID funding in Haiti was Washington, D.C. based contractor Chemonics International, who received over $200 million to carry out a total of 141 projects. In fact, USAID awarded more money to Chemonics than to the entire Haitian government in the wake of the earthquake.
Of course. They're gonna fund a corporation that is like a chemical corporation. It seems like it. Chemonics, DC-based contractor. That sounds like a corporation, like a chemical contracting corporation. Of course, bureaucracy will be funded over the people who actually need help. Because we know how to help them better than they know how to help them. Oh, they need food and water? No, actually what they need is for us to build new things there. And then we can enslave them to work there. Probably what happened. I don't know. I don't know anything about this whole Haiti situation except for the Clintons are involved in nation building there. And it's just been getting worse and worse over time. And I think it has something to do with the Clintons being into voodoo. And all the celebrities and a bunch of people in power are into voodoo and worshiping Moloch.
An audit conducted on Chemonics revealed that the company had a tendency to not finish jobs, evaluated its own project on arbitrary criteria not having to do anything with the project, and failed to set timelines, causing some projects to fall behind schedule. In one case, Chemonics was contracted to build Haiti's new parliament building, but what they constructed came out half-finished and unusable. The company only built the framework of the building, not even erecting interior walls to divide office spaces, nor did they bother to furnish the building. Left with this—
That sounds like some North Korea shit, where you take funds to build a building, you don't finish the building, and then use the funds on something else.
The Haitian government was forced to draw $775,000 from its public treasury to complete the project. Despite these disastrous results, Chemonics to this day—
So, it took $500 million to build it, just the framework of it, but it took less than $1 million to finish it. Something ain't adding up here.
It remains USAID's top contractor. The construction company was awarded $506.4 million in contracts in 2021 alone. In a leaked email exposed by WikiLeaks, they described this tragedy as a gold rush.
Yeah, this is one of the reasons why this is one of the reasons why WikiLeaks had to go. They knew too much. They were too good at finding out fraud and lies and manipulations from the government. So they had to go.
Ensuring that it would be great for international companies. Seems like the only thing they are culturally helping is their own wallets, am I right? And you know how you always hear about how poor people are in Venezuela and—
They're not helping their own wallets because they don't carry wallets. There's too much money to put in a wallet.
How the politicians are so rich and live in luxury? Yeah, part of that has to do with USAID. Billions of dollars of aid we sent to Venezuela just lined the pockets of US-backed politicians there.
How much of it went to Act Blue? Seems like everything links to Act Blue.
Only 2% of the aid we sent to Venezuela actually went to help Venezuelans. So at this point, the whole world was basically sick of USAID's bullshit. In 2013, Bolivian President Evo Morales expelled USAID officials from his country on the grounds that the agency had conspired against his government by allegedly manipulating social movements in the country. He also charged that a previous USAID program that sought to help cocoa farms switch to new crops was politically motivated. Russia expelled the agency in 2012 for similar reasons. Its foreign ministry argued in a statement that USAID attempts to influence political processes through its grants. And in February, Kenyan Cabinet Secretary Francis Kimimya claimed that his government had evidence that USAID had hired activists to organize anti-government protests in Nairobi in an effort to topple the government. Oh, and if you're wondering why so many news outlets and journalists were freaking out over the potential shutting down of USAID,
It's because they were being funded by it.
yeah, it's probably because it's where their paychecks were coming from.
True.
Yeah, apparently USAID was funding about 6,200 journalists and 707 news outlets all across the world. Not even just America. For example, the editor-in-chief of a Ukrainian news outlet wrote that destroying USAID was a greater threat to Ukrainian journalism than the Russian invasion. What?
That sounds about right. The Russian invasion, they say. Well, there was a reason Russia invaded, and it was because of shit like this going on. Anything that the establishment has their grubby little hands in is evil and actually destroying everything. Destroying the world. Destroying people's lives.
There were independent outlets shutting down everywhere, including Russia after the USAID freeze. So we were apparently funding media in both Ukraine and Russia.
Yeah, that's how it always goes. Remember the whole Palestine versus Israel? We funded both of them. It was some kind of like underground tunnel that got built with the funds. It was like America paid Israel to build a tunnel. They gave the tunnel to Hamas, or maybe Israel funded Hamas's tunnel. Oh yeah, that was it. Israel gave Hamas money. Hamas built the tunnel, and then Israel blew up the tunnel. So that was actually money that just went to nothing, except more war.
I'm playing both sides so that I always come out on top.
Serbia, Moldova, all across Latin America, independent outlets shutting down everywhere. All because the little sister of the CIA can't pay no mo.
In Civilization 5, I like to be friends with everybody and manipulate their governments with my spies. And what I'll do is I'll get two of my friends, and if I want something from one of them, I will pay one to go to war with the other, and then fund the other side. And whoever wins, that's who I declare war on, and take their stuff because they've used their army to go to war with this other person. That's how I play Civilization 5. That's how I do strategy. And that's probably what they're doing.
So I have a question. Why the f were we funding media in all these other countries? Well, the CEO for the Center of Investigative Reporting, a USAID-supported Bosnian media organization, said it best. Quote, "If you are funded by the US government, there are certain topics that you would simply not go after, because the US government has its interests that are above all else." Oh, I guess that answers my question. USAID is also ridden with other scandals, such as covering up a child sex abuse ring in Kenya, kidnapping and torturing people in Uruguay, forced sterilizing 300,000 Peruvian women.
Don't forget about the children at the border. All those lost children. What about the kids in Lahaina? Did they ever get found?
And the famous one you all know, funding drug production in Afghanistan. Oopsie poopsies, we did little fucky wuckies.
Not to mention the whole crack epidemic.
Now think about all the other shit that hasn't been exposed. These aren't mistakes, these aren't flukes, these aren't little fucky wuckies. This is what this program was set out to do. This is why it was created. We were quite literally funding Globo Homo as a sneaky way to do regime change and American intervention. Or do you think we're spending $1 million in Nepal to promote atheism because Hinduism is such a threat? You're cute. The United States won't sleep until there's an ugly progress flag hanging on a Starbucks on every corner of every street all over the world from Latin America to the Middle East. Ah yes, the greatest American exports, butt, sex, and war. There are a shit ton of old left-wing articles you can find online spanning back to like 2010, even earlier, about how evil USAID is. Now suddenly liberals are acting like it's another fucking beacon of democracy that we have to cry and piss and shit about just because it's Trump getting rid of it. Frankly, I don't care. If they start dismantling things that I do care about, things that do actually help the American people, then I will care. Expose where the trillions of dollars we spent on the Iraq war went next, please. Or, you know, actually release the Epstein files.
Yeah, I don't think that's gonna happen. Good luck on that one. I don't think we're gonna be hearing about Epstein for a very long time. And this is gonna be another JFK 9/11 situation where we just keep talking about it, keep coming up with conspiracy theories for years and years and years until we all come together and realize, oh, we figured it out. Everything that we've been saying is fucking true. The entire world is run by pedophiles who worship Satan.
Do I think Doge cut USAID because they're our great comrade in arms, cutting off the tentacles of American imperialism? No. Trump probably just cut it because he thought it was a woke, gay waste of money.
True, and it is. And it's evil. It's actually evil. But I would argue that being openly sexually gay, not being gay, being openly sexually gay is evil. Like, all you do is based on you being gay. All you do is centered around sexuality and sex. And that's all you think about. Those people are evil. If you're just gay, normal person living your life, that's not evil.
And it was. But as far as I'm concerned, every article written about how bad dismantling it was written by John Bolton himself. Like the president of Colombia said, "Take your money with you. It's poison." All the sources I use in this video and all the information I got for this video will be in links down below. Feel free to do your own research as always. And if you like this video, please consider subscribing. A lot of you aren't subscribed apparently.
Yeah, it's the same for me. That's crazy how that happens. I think like 10% of my subscribers actually watch.
You just watch and fuck off. I will find you. Also, this video is most likely going to be demonetized, so if you can and if you want to, please donate to me on Patreon, link down below. It helps the channel so much, and I appreciate it. And I will see you next time with a less serious, more fun video. Bye!
Yeah, unless something crazy happens. If something crazy happens in the government, she'll probably talk about that instead of something that's more lighthearted and just about crazy people on the internet like usual. This one was a lot. She didn't say anything that I didn't know already or didn't speculate. I didn't know the thing about Cuba, but it totally makes sense that it sounds exactly like what they're doing here in the United States with the manipulation of social media and news outlets and stupid people. That's all I've got for today. I've got a t-shirt store down there in the description. They're my own designs. They're really cool. I worked hard on them. You should buy one. I'm out.